So, back for another episode of Believe in Boyt, with this double Intimidate team that was built in a Metify coaching session with another student. If you are interested in using this team, the team idea is in the top right, as well as in the description with a poker paste. Let's get into some battles. Okay, got the hard rain, as it were. I mean, if you have a rain setter and a swift swimmer, it's not quite hard rain. If you have two or more, then it is hard rain. So, Breloom looks super sweet here, because it's outspeeding the Pelipper. Doesn't really matter if the Rigorath is there to stop the Mach punches. I can just spore everything except Meowscarada, so that's pretty good. Breloom is a good lead here. So, I think leading with Rotom and Breloom is entirely reasonable. I think Salamence is fine. Arcanine is okay, but probably not the best. Kingambit is also not too bad in the slightest. And Sylveon is also not too bad in the slightest. But I think I prefer Salamence and Kingambit. Because they've got a multitude is the word, of physical attackers that would hurt Sylveon quite heavily. Kingambit's defense is better, and Salamence can intimidate them. Well, that's cool trainer cards. Still needs to do mine. They even copied my hair. No, they didn't. That's different hair. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So they had no electric immunity, right? So this is just a straight up Spore into the Kingambit and a Choice Specs Volt Switch into the Palafin. If they flip turn out, like, fair enough. That's a Breloom Sash broken, which wouldn't be the worst thing. That's fine. Perfectly fine with that. It's not safety goggles. It's safety goggles. What? What is that? Kingambits aren't safety goggles. That's not allowed. Well, the sash is broken. Is that flip turn range? That's not flip turn range from a not choice banded, not yet hero Palafin, right? Well, they were willing to let me just Mach punch them, so I'm going to. Because I can't spore them really now anymore. Because of the safety goggles. I could spore the Palafins a lot. But I think I prefer just the massive damage that they were willing to let me get into the Kingambit. I guess if they switch into the Farigiraf now, then that could be a bit awkward, but that was not the turn I expected. I'm quite confident Safety Goggles is uncommon on Kingambit. And yeah, very surprising they were just going to let me Mach punch them. But then again, why didn't I Mach punch them? Probably because of the Farigiraf. But then they could use that logic that I can't go for Mach Punch because they will just switch into the Farigiraf because Palafin wants to switch out like it is. And then I lose to it this turn on the second one. Oh, not quite. Okay, that's fine. Don't tell me they're now turning into a ghost type. Like, come on. Why didn't you do that on the first go? Flight, same thing. Same thing. It's a shame I didn't Volt Switch that slot. That would have been so much better. Ideally it's Sucker Punch here, so I keep my Breloom. I mean, it wasn't going to be, because I could have just spawned the Meowscarada. But that's a Sash broken. I didn't see Supreme Overlord activate, did I? Because if I go into Salamence now, then I'll activate a Defiant. So I think I prefer my own Kingambit. Yeah, I prefer my own Kingambit. There goes Breloom. Okay. So now I think I probably do need to go into my Salamence because Rotom is not liking the Meowscarada, and I do need to intimidate this Kingambit. So, not the most ideal of situations. Because Meowscarada can crit through. At least the Dark types from the Meowscarada aren't going to be very good, but there's the Defiant. But now I can go for... which one's the best to Terastallize? I think it is just worth getting the extra damage into the Kingambit, right? With Sucker Punch and knockoff KO. Probably, it might. They are just safety goggles though. I could just protect and Iron Head the Meowscarada, and I think I will do that. Because they're not going to have a fighting move on this... Well, that didn't work. On this King Gambit, right? Well, I guess they don't need Terror Blast, do they? So they very much could. But they're safety goggles, so they'd have Protect, right? There's no way they have space for a fighting move while they're flying type Terror, and they have safety goggles. So that was not the worst turn it could have possibly been. It definitely could have been better. So now they could just switch into the Palafin with the Meowscarada as well. I do care about the King Gambit, but I won't KO it with this combination. But I do need to take care of Meowscarada. So I could double into it with the Kowtow Cleave as well, to cover for the Palafin switch in to an extent. But then Jet Punch would just outpace my Sucker Punch, so I'm just going to double into the King Gambit. Even though this is going to be the Palafin. That was Pelipper, okay. Alright, so Sash is broken there. So that's something. And we'll hopefully get to see who's faster between my King Gambit and theirs. Hopefully they got no speed, but I expect them to have some speed. Because ideally I would like to Sucker Punch them. The Salamence should make it through this turn. That was still reasonable chip damage for sure. That's why. But yeah, I should survive this. It's only a safety goggles. They are faster, so Sucker Punch is not ideal. Yeah, like, you know, calculated. So then I'd have to rely on Rotom. I'm going for Tailwind here to either match theirs or avoid a Sucker Punch. Because ideally they Tailwinds themselves, like, well, obviously not ideally they Tailwinds. They would not Tailwinds, that would be the best thing. But I am a Jet Punch range as well. So I will just, again, just cut... Iron Head is... covers the Meowscarada, but then it doesn't cover the... Yeah, I'll Kowtow Cleave. I can't risk the Sucker Punch in case they're going for Sucker Punch and then it just avoids it. So, yeah, they just have Protect anyway, so... So are we just matching Tailwinds here? It would seem not, and that's quite a fortunate dodge. Because now, I outpace them for sure with my own Sucker Punch. So I can Draco Meteor this Pelipper, and I can Sucker Punch this King Gambit. The Hydro Pump didn't matter too much, because King Gambit would have shrugged it off, because it's Assault Vest. But that is a quite fortunate dodge, because I'll now be at full HP. And I can survive a Jet Punch from the Palafin for sure. But that's quite good, because now that's a KO. And now, of course, I am clicking Draco Meteor once again. But this Salamence is not a Hydreigon. We all know that it's only Hydreigon that's cursed. See? And then that KOs the Pelipper, because its special defense is not that great. I lose my Salamence, but now I have to be able to beat the Meowscarada. I don't outspeed the Meowscarada with the King Gambit, though. So I've got to go for Thunderbolt and Sucker Punch into the Meowscarada, right? Because then that combination would KO. I've already seen Protect on the Palafin. I've seen Protect on the Meowscarada as well, haven't I? Like, you surely got to protect the Palafin as the Meowscarada then KOs the Rotom so that your Palafin then wins against the King Gambit, right? That's the logic I'm following. That looks really cool, shiny. Yeah, if that was just Specs Thunderbolt range initially, then that would have been okay. Like, I expect the Palafin to drop to Specs Thunderbolt, but yeah, I'm going to double into this Meowscarada because I don't outspeed it with the King Gambit. I do with the Rotom. I would expect the Palafin to protect here, following the previous logic I just said. And if they protect the Meowscarada and attack with the Palafin, oh no. Also, they could Sucker Punch with the Meowscarada, and that would outspeed my Sucker Punch as well. So that also may not be so good. But ideally this is Protect Palafin and Flower Trick into Rotom. Well, that's a Protect, but it's the wrong one. It's definitely the wrong one. Okay, like, my logic is so faulty recently. Oh, okay. That's a 2-shot. They just didn't care there. Like, I followed some logic and they went one step further than me. So... then yeah, if they now Sucker Punch again, that would get around this. But I still think I need to go for it. And hope that they don't Sucker Punch with the Meowscarada. Good, they don't, so I should be okay. Because Jet Punch will now KO the King Gambit, but that is Specs Thunderbolt range, for sure on the Meowscarada. And then that should just, again, OHKO the Palafin. So, I was still okay. Because they didn't Sucker Punch, if they Sucker Punch with Meowscarada, I was not looking good. Because then I wouldn't have been able to KO the Meowscarada with that combination, because it would have outpaced my Sucker Punch. But I'm still okay. Even though I got that Protect wrong, then I'm still okay. This KOs are not Assault-vested Palafin, right? And yeah, they're just Jet Punching at this point, so surely it was KOs. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I was okay. If they had a Sucker Punch with the Meowscarada, that would have been very bad, but... they made a couple of very brave plays. Like, they've been outplaying me as well. Like, those couple of turns. The Meowscarada Protect isn't outplaying of me. But I was still okay. Oh, I like that team. That looks like a team I would like to steal. But, yeah, we got to beat it first. They've also got their own Salamence, so that's quite funny. Right, Sylveon looks very good here. So long as I can take care of the Volcarona. I can just start snarling things. And that would snarl the Volcarona down. To me, it seems reasonable to lead with Arcanine and Sylveon here. The Rotom looks very good. Especially as a Volcarona answer. Although Volcarona could just turn into a Grass type and make that not the case anymore. Breloom, I don't particularly like outside of the Azumarill, but I think I'm okay with the Azumarill. Although the Salamence is not very good here. I will bring the King Gambit in the back, I think. If they lead with Salamence, I'm going to be a bit sad that I didn't lead with King Gambit. But Arcanine and Sylveon should cover most things that can happen, especially because that doesn't look like... well, it could be a Belly Drum Azumarill, actually. The Volcarona could be a support one. If that's a support Volcarona with a Belly Drum Azumarill, that's actually not ideal. That's a cool trainer card. Okay, that's not what I just said could be bad. So this is not the worst at all. So I've got the Intimidate on the Garchomp. Now I can switch into my Ground Resist in the Rotom and just launch off my Hyper Voice, right? Might be worth going for Terra Blast, because I don't think Hyper Voice KOs Garchomp, but I think Terra Blast would. But I would like my Throat Spray as well. I'm going to Hyper Voice. This is just to learn, does it actually KO? Because I think the Terra Blast would KO. But Gardevoir is actually probably more concerning at this point, because the Garchomp's intimidated, and then I'm going to have a Ground Resist as well. Unless they go for Swords Dance. But that would be incredibly brave in front of a Sylveon. Also, they could just turn into not a Fairy weakness as well. So then Terra Blast would have been not so ideal, because I'll have missed out on the Throat Spray and the damage on the Gardevoir. Like so. Not like so. Not quite like so. So, not a Fairy Resist, but they are surviving the Hyper Voice. So yeah, Terra Blast would not have been the correct thing. And wow, they did just straight up Swords Dance. That is incredibly brave. And they were prepared for Yawn. And they were prepared for Will-O-Wisp. That was not what I expected to happen this turn. But I'm glad I Hyper Voiced. Because that's the 2-shot on the Gardevoir. But, like, it probably would have been Even without the critical. Maybe not without the critical hit, because I'm getting the throat spray anyway. But yeah, that's alright. This is just Hydro Pump into the Garchomp and Protect, right? I see nothing wrong with that. Because they've got an Earthquake to take out the Sylveon now. Or do they just... Oh, that's... Yeah, I see something wrong with that, because that was a reasonable play. But ideally they're going to attack the Sylveon here. If they attack the Rotom, that was a good play. That's technically attacking the Rotom. But now I switch back into Arcanine, and even if that gets Earthquaked, we're at neutral, and I should survive whatever combination they throw at me. So this is more about allowing the Sylveon to survive. So I'll switch back into Arcanine, get that Intimidate, and Hyper Voice, KO both of them. I assume I survive a neutral Earthquake and a Dazzling Gleam. Maybe not a Psyshock. But they went for Dazzling Gleam last time, so they should do the same thing. Like, this Sylveon surely is bulky enough to survive, because it can survive a Choice Banded Garchomp Ground Terror, but it's not even going to take an Earthquake, so that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm intimidating the Azumarill, and I'm getting a huge chunk with my Hyper Voice, because Gardevoir can't do too much to Sylveon. And if this is Dazzling Gleam, it's not doing much to Arcanine either. Yeah, just Dazzling Gleam chip. That's fine. That was okay against the Sylveon. But this KOs the Gardevoir, and a nice chunk onto the Azumarill. And no Citrus Berry. Okay, it's just lefties. That might be the Perish Song one then. I think this turn I might just go for Helping Hand Hyper Voice, even if Garchomp comes back in. It's only Aqua Jet and Earthquake would KO me, but then they're KOing their own Azumarill as well. So I think I'm content with just Helping Hand Hyper Voice here. Probably the Azumarill was protecting from the Earthquake, and I could have just switched into Rotom, but oh well. They can't KO my Sylveon, surely, because it survives the Banded one, and it's not taken enough chip that it would counter the Bandedness. I should lose Arcanine, though. What? Why did my Sylveon get KO'd? What was Life Orb? So that's getting close to Banded, that's why. So that was not ideal. What do I do now? Would that be Sucker Punch range? It's going to be very close if that's Sucker Punch range. I might as well go for it. I say that as he might Swords Dance. But that's a guaranteed Thunderbolt into there. So yeah, I obviously should have switched to Rotom there, but I was just expecting Sylveon to survive, so my intuition was off there. So I need to do that calc afterwards. Sucker Punch surely won't KO. I do Terastallize so I can survive a Earthquake for sure. And then... yeah, Sucker Punch doesn't KO, but neither would Kowtow Cleave, I think. But I think I still just go for Kowtow Cleave. Because Rotom should survive a Dragon Claw, even from Life Orb. And then it's just can King Gambit and Rotom deal with the rest. My Rotom somehow goes down to a Dragon Claw here. That's very bad, because then Azumarill will be able to Perish Song. I'm assuming it's Perish Song at this point. Yeah, fair enough. But Azumarill going down here. And King Gambit has to be the one to KO the Garchomp now, because I'm locked into Thunderbolt. So King Gambit better be able to. So I've got a Thunderbolt wherever else comes in. Can't remember what it was. Or what it could have been, I should say. Oh, Volcarona. Okay. I'm definitely Thunderbolting it. And I think I am still just going for Kowtow Cleave, right? Because it's stronger than, slightly stronger than Terra Blast, and it should KO the Garchomp. It's just Rock Slide. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, that's fine. That one's okay. Well, actually, Giga Drain would just KO my Rotom now, wouldn't it? Okay, so I should have gone for Sucker Punch, because that would have avoided that. And because of the Life Orb chip they would have taken, I probably would have KO'd them. But given their Will-O-Wisp, they probably don't have Giga Drain, and that's a 2-shot. So, yeah, that would have... The Sucker Punch would have done it. So... I don't Sucker Punch this time, though, because they could just go for Swords Dance. So, I will just Kowtow Cleave again. Because if they Rage Powder, the Thunderbolt KOs the Volcarona because they haven't Struggle Bugged. And if they do Struggle Bug, they activate Defiant. Like, there's surely no way they can do it. Outside of Rock Slide flinches, there's surely no way. I've spoken it into existence. Oh, one of them dodged. Kingambit dodged again. That's alright. Rotom, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Okay, good. So that is game over then. Nice. So, I think, yeah, like looking back, obviously Sucker Punch was a slightly better play given how the turn went, but they could have just gone for Swords Dance. And given that they brought Volcarona in and they had Redirection, I'm a little bit confused why they didn't just go for Rage Powder and Swords Dance. Because that's just guaranteed, right? Then you got more of a chance to do more damage to the Rock Slide, so. But there we go. That ends up working out somewhat okay. Okay. I think this is the rental team, right? This feels like the rental team to me. So, they go with Hariyama and Farigiraf. What's my counter to that? Probably just Breloom and Sylveon, right? That should cover quite a few things. So my Arcanine is pretty reasonable. My Kingambit is also quite reasonable, so long as I Terra into a Fairy type. So if I bring it, I probably should be Terroring this. Salamence is, again, not too bad. And Rotom is not too bad. So I'm actually going to go with... I'm going to leave Breloom. Because I think that these two are actually pretty good. So I will go with that instead. And then if they go Hariyama and Farigiraf, then I will just simply snarl the Farigiraf and that'll be that. I copied my trainer card, that's rude. Yep, there we go. So they surely fake out the Sylveon, right? Because that's the one that can do the huge damage. But I'm still going to go for Hyper Voice and... Would Hyper Voice be better? Because I don't want to just KO the Hariyama and give it the switch into the Torkoal. Because Yawn might be better, actually, into the Farigiraf and then force out the switches. No, I'll Hyper Voice. I don't think it KOs. And I'll Snarl to weaken the Farigiraf as well. But yeah, I was always getting picked out in Sylveon, so... Now it's probably worth switching out into the Salamence just to cycle Intimidates now, right? So here comes the Trick Room, but that's okay. Those Salamence would take a lot on the way in. But Arcanine would still take a reasonable chunk from close combat. Salamence would take less than that. I'm going to yawn the Farigiraf, and I'm going to switch into Salamence. Okay, that's a hard switch to Torkoal, is it? No, into King Gambit, okay. That's not ideal, because that didn't activate Supreme Overlord, so that's not good. Oh no! That's really bad. Because I didn't even go for Hyper Voice to get extra damage on the King Gambit. That's not good. I'll take a chunk from this. That's a chunk. Not ideal. So I guess now I need to terrestrialize the Sylveon, right? So I'm going to switch out the Farigiraf into Torkoal. I want to terrestrialize anything else. Probably not. And then Hyper Voice to weaken the eruptions. Yeah. And I will just go for a Heat Wave as well. Because assumably the Torkoal's coming in and then giving me the boost. Oh, it's just Hariyama. Okay. So, best case is Iron Head into the Sylveon, and I survive, and then get off the Hyper Voice into the Hariyama and the Heat Wave. And that would be pretty sweet. And then Trick Room would almost have been stalled out, so I could go for a Protect to start stalling out the Sylveon. No, not the Sylveon, the Torkoal. But yeah, there is Iron Head. That's not bad. So long as I don't flinch here. Nice. So this will also do a nice chunk to the King Gambit as well. No, it won't. Salamence? You're not supposed to be a High Dragon. It didn't matter into the Hariyama, but come on. Now you're worse than... now you're worse than High Dragon. What are you doing? What is this? Right. So how many turns of Trick Room's left? Because that's Torkoal there. It's 2 turns. Okay. So I could just double Protect here. And then just lose both Pokemon. I feel like I might need to do that. So I can't do any switching with the Salamence because the King Gambit will get totally out of hand. So I will stall out one more turn of Trick Room. I feel like that Terror was unnecessary. Because now I can go for Flare Blitz into the King Gambit for a KO. And it will just be, can Arcanine and Rotom, either of them, survive the +2 Sucker Punch? That's guaranteed to come their way now. Okay. Do I attempt to double Protect with both? Is there any reason to do that? Is it worth trying to double Protect with one and just attacking, like, definitely losing one? I would say yes. I think it's worth going for a double Protect on Salamence, at least. So I'll attempt to Hyper Voice. I know I won't. And we'll just see if I get the double Protect. Which I don't. So, like, I was expecting this position regardless. But, yeah, now can Arcanine and Rotom do it? They had a very good switch in. Like, the King Gambit switch in on my Salamence switch in was very, very effective. So if I wouldn't have switched there and just done anything with the Arcanine... Actually, no, if I'd have gone for another Snarl, that also covered the Snarl really nicely as well. So that King Gambit switch in was a very good one. Now, they're going to be +2 with their King Gambit. which is going to be a little awkward. So... they go for a Sucker Punch here for sure. It's just if they do it into Arcanine, could I get away with a Will-O-Wisp? Just depends who's the target, because I want to go for Thunderbolt rather than Hydro Pump, because it will two-shot the Torkoal regardless. And no, I will just... I think I just Flare Blitz, because they're going to Sucker Punch one of them. Oh, okay. Interesting choice. Because if I survive the Sucker Punch, which I should... right? Yeah, okay. And I don't KO myself to recoil. Surely not. Yeah, not. Okay. So I've made the correct play here, because this KOs the King Gambit for sure. In the sun. Yes, absolutely. And this should two-shot the Farigiraf with either this, or two of these, or this and a Flare Blitz in the sun, right? Yes. Yes. So now it is Thunderbolt into Torkoal and it is Flare Blitz into Farigiraf. So that is pretty good. So it's just this, like so, and then I should be okay. Farigirafs don't carry Protect. Might be worth going for Thunderbolt into Farigiraf and Snarl into the Torkoal, because I'm going to take enough chip damage that I'll be KO'd to whatever fire move the Torkoal will want to go for. Excuse me. Doesn't really matter, because I'm getting so much damage into the Torkoal regardless. And I can just ignore it on the next turn and Thunderbolt the Farigiraf the KO. Like, the Rotom wins here. So, unless they've got Solar Beam. But that's a funny paralysis that may not matter at all. Just Flamethrower, okay. Does that even KO? Oh yeah, I've taken loads of chip damage, of course it does. But yes, now I can Thunderbolt the... actually, is it better to just Thunderbolt the Torkoal? Because they could go for a double Protect. How many turns of Sun's left? I think that's going to be the crucial thing. One turn, yeah. So I should survive. And the fact that there's Paralysis chance as well that could stop them, I will attack the Farigiraf. So even if they get the double Protect, they have to get the double Protect and fight through the Paralysis and still two-shot me with a one Sun boosted and one not Sun boosted. So, and if they are not specs, like if they can switch to Solar Beam would not be strong enough from a not boosted Torkoal to KO me. So yes, I am okay. Oh wow. I underestimated so hard there. So if they got a double Protect, I would have lost. Assuming they break through the Paralysis. But yeah, that was way stronger than I thought it would be. I know it's definitely choice specs, but yeah, underestimated that. So the play was to go for the Torkoal, because Farigiraf definitely cannot Toko Rotom in one, even if they get the Trick Room on that turn. So the play was actually better to go into the Torkoal, because if they got the double Protect, they would have won. But they didn't go for it, so we take those.